events over the years, and now it can add the U.S. Women's Open to its resume as Romeoville, Illinois, and the Brunswick Zone XL host this year's event, and it is next. Week 1 saw Kim Terrell-Kearney grab the first spot in the semifinals with a win over Deandra Asbady. An important ball change helped Shalyn Zulkifli through week 2. And Tricia Reed joined them with her victory last week. Tournament leader Carolyn Dorin Ballard hopes to join them as we look for the final spot in the semifinals. Welcome to the 2008 U.S. Women's Open. Hi, I'm Bo Burton, and we've completed 3 out of the 4 brackets, and here are the winners. In the first week, Kim Terrell-Kearney, 194, was a winner over Deandra Asbady. Shalyn Zulkifli, a fabulous 266, won week 2. And in week 3, we saw the upstart Tricia Reed with a fabulous 245 game. And our last and final bracket today features the top player, Carolyn Dorin Ballard. And Marshall Holman, you're a 2-time U.S. Open champion. Who do you like today?
Well, you got to go with the experience. Carolyn Dorin Ballard has been there so many times. She looks very good in practice, but she's bowling against Adrienne Miller, and she's got bowling in her blood. Her father won the PBA National. Her aunt has won this tournament twice, so it's going to be a fun show.
It'll be an interesting match, and now we'll go down to our third colleague, Kathy Dorin Lizzie.
Well, it's 2 weeks in a row. It's all about equipment. At this level, like I said, it has to be. Star-studded field today. They have to take the tips from Shalyn and last week from Tricia Reed. It's all about equipment and paying attention to your ball reaction. Now, star-studded field today, I kind of have a little bit of a personal interest in this match. I won't say who it is. I'll give you a hint. She kind of looks just like me. She is the most seasoned player. She's going to be the one to beat. I think the 3 other girls know that, but it's show day, and it's anybody's tournament up for grab.
Today's Look at the Lanes is sponsored by the new PBA Experience Leagues. Contact your local bowling center to see how you can bowl on the exact lane oil condition used on the PBA Tour.
And today the ladies will be bowling on the cheetah pattern. The length of the oil is 36 feet. It's done by the Kegel Infinity Oil, and the surface is synthetic. You can see that the ladies are forced to play the outside trajectory, and generally on this pattern, straighter is greater.
We have Miller against our tournament leader who led the qualifier for 32 games, Dorin Ballard, and on lanes 41 and 42, Burgoyne and Guerrero. That is a really tough match. We have our tournament #1 seed is letting Adrienne Miller lead off.
And I talked to Adrienne last night. She said the key to her game is to keep her first 2 steps small.
We'll watch.
We've seen that on that left-hand lane, on lane 39, over the weeks. There's a hang spot on it. It's hard to get the ball up the pocket if you don't have the right equipment and the right speed.
I agree with you, Marshall, as we look at Amanda Burgoyne, one of the toughest competitors we've seen in the last 2 years in this U.S. Open. First shot.
Well, nervous shot, leaves the 3 and the 10.
And as you pointed out, Marshall, Amanda has a tendency to slow down when she gets a little nervous. Now, Adrienne for the spare.
Shouldn't have any problem with the single pin spare. Picks it up nicely.
Adrienne cross lane, 310 baby split. Odds are 2 to 1, I would say, for anybody in this situation, especially with these flying back ends.
Going with the harder ball. Still, Amanda gets too much of the 3-pin. Starts out with an open frame.
The pick of the telecast, obviously, 20-time winner, Carolyn Dorin Ballard. She was our tournament leader, averaging a 217 for 32 games on all 4 different shots. She's focused.
Very professional shot starting off. Takes a big, deep breath and lets it out. And take our first look at Clara Guerrero
from Armenia, Colombia. just west of Bogota in South America. She is a tough player, Marshall. Not too many people know her, but let's watch her play.
Great shot, and playing the lane very similar to what Dorin Ballard is doing on 39 and 40. They're further to the right than our other two ladies.
And using just a medium rev, not trying to overpower them as we saw Michelle Feldman do last week, and trusting their arm swing. The key for the outside, Marshall, you know, we can see it year after year, it doesn't make any difference where it is you cannot pull the ball from the outside line. Carolyn, Dorin Ballard up, striking the first, up in the second.
Week 10.
That was her undoing last year of not winning the U.S. Open. She was right in contention, left a bunch of 10 pins, and let's see if she can make a change there as we see Guerrero going up for the first double of today's semifinal.
For a 21-pin early lead. Very nice. 6-pin taking out the 10-pin. Off to a fast start. No problem with the 10-pin, and we can see very early via our CAT system that Adrienne Miller, her ball hit the 8 board at the arrows, and Dorin Ballard hit the 3.5 board. So a much more dramatic up and at 'em approach for Dorin Ballard.
Okay, Amanda Burgoyne up second frame, see if she can bounce back from that open in the first.
Ball's going longer. Oh. Solid 9. She did everything right.
And her opponent, who is from Colombia, calls it La Fantasma. And in the interpretation of that in Spanish is the ghost pin. It appears from nowhere, and I love it. She got the ghost, the solid 9. Now, Adrienne Miller.
Now the soft 10 on lane 40 for Adrienne Miller.
You want to see how you leave the ghost pin? Amanda with a powerful ball cuts through with no deflection, and it goes right past the 9 pin. Normally it would deflect off the 5 into the 9. And I love it, Marshall. The ghost is standing.
Well, you may love it, but I'm not sure that. Oh no! And then what? Just a mental error right now for Amanda. First she makes a great shot, doesn't get a strike, and then allows herself to not focus. Adrienne Miller, she makes the spare. She comes from a great bowling family. Her aunt, Dana Miller-Mackey, is here watching, and her father, Mike Miller, PBA national champion back in Albuquerque. Nervous as a father could possibly be.
Burgoyne, she needs to bounce back right now. That'll work.
Same shot as the last one where she left the 9, but the 9 falls this time. And she knows that she's made a mistake, but also it's early in the game, just the 3rd frame. There's we see the graphic, 3-time All-American.
Come on, ball, come on.
Much better delivery on lane 39. Gets the strike, and Dorin Ballard up by 1 pin. Now Guerrero going for 3 in a row and really putting the hurt on Burgoyne. She could take a 42-pin lead after only 3 frames.
And she did her collegiate bowling here in the United States under Gordon Vatican at Wichita State, one of the other really good coaches we have in this country.
Solid 10, wraps the 6 around the 10-pin. Great delivery.
Close-Up, today's competitor's Close-Up is brought to you by the premier destination of bowling, bowl.com.
Dorin Ballard leaves the shaky 4-pin. Boy, she really got that ball far to the right. That hit 3.1 board at the arrows. Just about a half a board further right than she was her first delivery on lane 40.
The key pin we've seen for all 4 weeks so far in the U.S. Women's Open competition, Marshall, the 10-pin.
And she makes it with no problem, but she actually she dipped into the ball return as she made that spare. As we see Carolyn, look how far that ball was on the 1 board at about 30, 35 feet. Fortunately breaks down the split And she's a great spare shooter. She has no problem with that.
Well, if Carolyn can get that reaction from way out and not go into the nose, she's going to get it rolling. I mean, she's keeping the ball in the pocket, hitting the 1 and 2 board, and that's something nobody else has really done very well except Stephanie Nation, who ran into a very game Tricia Reed last week. All right, Guerrero up, left-hand lane, 4th frame.
Power strike. Brings a smile to her face, and she knows she's in, you know, early in the match, but she's in good shape. 31 pins up. She's comfortable with where she's throwing the ball. Dorin Ballard now up on lane 39, working on a spare. Look out. Boy, that ball just stopped.
Wow. We've seen everybody for 4 weeks when they get it out to the actual edge board there. There's 39 boards in the lane. The lane's 42 inches wide, and she uses every bit of it. Now it should go high. Magic. Sets up at the hole.
That's because she's end over end with her release. She doesn't come around the ball like we'll see right here on lane 42 with Burgoyne.
Sweet. We have 2 ladies who, from the University of Nebraska out there bowling right now. They were coached under one of our good friends, Bill Straub, who has just provided the women's tour in bowling with so many great champions. Adrienne Miller from Nebraska, Amanda Burgoyne from Nebraska, both national champions.
Miller for a double. Oh, when she leaves what's called the Greek church, there's her aunt, Dana Miller Mackey, who has got to be very disappointed right now to see that from her young niece. But you know, she'll get the count. She really squeezes that ball into her hand.
Sets the ball with her thumb inside. It's just a trigger point. She ends up in the same place as another ring and 10, Marshall. Look at her last 3 frames. Solid 9, strike, solid strike, solid 10. I mean, it's hard to catch up when you get no breaks.
That's true. Adrienne takes the count.
Burgoyne just has to work on the spare. There's 5 frames left, although Guerrero looks almost bulletproof at this point. There's still a lot of time left. Shot there, and as we watch Adrienne Miller come up, remember when her father, Mike Miller, he was the, quote, I would say, inventor of the thumbless grip, where you just take your thumb out and just put your fingers in, where you get so much more power on the ball. It led him to the national championship in 1991.
Come on, solid 7-10. Did everything right. Pins didn't cooperate. Really made a very good shot.
Well, bad break one way or another. Now Guerrero. She has the same role that we saw Stephanie Nation, Shannon O'Keefe last year with, that deep outside right off the edge. Ballard's there right now, and that seems the way to get the job done on this cheetah pattern.
Oh, I agree completely. In complete command right now for Guerrero.
Now, Dorin Ballard up, can extend her lead to 35 pins with a strike.
And in her first double of the match, she has a 35-pin lead. We've got Carolyn Dorin Ballard up on lane 39. She's working on a double, and as you can see, Miller with that big split in the 4th, and then that bad break with a 7-10 split in the 5th. Dorin not doing anything all that special right now with just 1 double, but has a commanding 35-pin lead and can take it to 45. Boy, she really got that stopping action of the ball with that great end-over-end release. We'll be back in just a minute. Let's take a look at some of the former U.S. Women's Open champions.
Take a technical look at how these players are attacking the championship pairs.
Well, as you can see, Clara Guerrero almost exact in her speed from 17.5 to 17.7, and position on the lane has been very close as well. As far out as 3.5, as far in as about 4.1. We'll take a look at some slow motion as her ball rolls down the lane. Very, very much like Dorin Ballard on the left pair. And they're the two that are doing the damage.
All right, Adrienne Miller coming up. Has to get a rally going. Has a potential 2:24 if she can take it off the sheet. Ballard is going at a 2:19 pace. Adrienne's got the power. Got to get it going.
Well, she needs a break, too.
Now, Burgoyne, she can get red hot, but she needs to put some pressure on Guerrero.
Well, she's made a lot of good shots in the last 4 or 5 frames, but she only has 2 strikes to show for it. That ball had to come too far back from the right. By the time it got to the pins, it had run out of energy.
Both players shooting a 10-pin. That's been the history of this tournament so far in the quarterfinal rounds. The player that can carry the 10, keep that critical outside line, first, second, third board, as your Stroh motion said, shows Marshall. They're the people to beat. And right now, the 2 players that are playing the bigger hook and farther towards the center of the lane are struggling.
And it's been like that every telecast we've had. Guerrero going for her spare. I know I feel a lot more comfortable up here talking about them bowling on this condition than I would be actually down there, because I always like to get deeper in the lane and hook it.
I agree. We've seen the big hook ball players struggle on this extreme outside line. That's a good lesson to learn. There's a different way to do every one. You got to adjust. There's no given things.
Oh, and another quality shot by Miller, but does not carry out the 7. And in today's game, unlike when I was bowling, I can kind of make them work using my A game. You got to have an A game, B game, C game, D game. You got to be able to really be versatile.
Well, don't give yourself more credit than that. You beat a lot of us a lot of times.
And the 2 and the 10 for Amanda Burgoyne. Take a look at Adrienne Miller. Looks like a quality shot coming up the hill, but the 7-pin doesn't respond. And then I really think it's a lack of focus. You know, she's being handled pretty easily right now by Dorin Ballard, and
she got the toughest draw. Let's face it. Dorin Ballard has been dominating women's bowling pretty much for the last couple of years, and she's on her game today against somewhat of a rookie.
Great try by Burgoyne, but that goes the wayside as well, and it's looking like it's shaping up for a matchup between Guerrero and Dorin Ballard.
Okay, let's see if Ballard can keep that outside trajectory working and continue her string.
Got to hurry. Well, she leaves the 2 and the 7. She's got a chance right now to do a little bit of tweaking, a little experimenting. I'm pretty sure that, you know, she's got this game in hand, and will almost certainly want to bowl Guerrero on lanes 39 and 40.
Well, here's the lady who's been the most precision of all 16 of our quarterfinalists so far. That's a machine, Marshall.
Yeah. She's comfortable bowling that style, and she's wired in right now.
Well, she's a very versatile player, but she made the adjustment you're talking about. A little less hand, throwing the straighter ball on the outside line. Now, Carolyn for the 2-7. No problem.
So, said to myself, be aggressive.
We'll show you how you make the 2-7.
Very nice.
There's the ball taking care of both pins nicely, and precision bowling by.
And the percentage for
Ballard.
those baby splits, Marshall, is always to go to the inside of the pin. Some people believe you can throw it from the outside, hit the outside of the 2, but it's a lower percentage, as you see. Just hammering them.
Well, Guerrero's going to enjoy finishing up on lanes 41 and 2, but she won't be bowling there later in the day. I guarantee you this lady right here is going to have her way on 39 and 40 and make her come over there and join her later.
That's because Carolyn Dorin Ballard is the higher seed after the 32 games of pre-qualifying, and so she gets her choice of pairs.
There you go.
Better shot for Dorin Ballard. She's working hard. She knows she has to prepare herself for a lot more than just one game. Guerrero, or excuse me, Amanda Burgoyne throws a nice shot on lane 42, and She'd love to strike out, even though she's being trounced.
Well, the scoreboard really doesn't tell the story with Amanda. I mean, she's more of a power player, which doesn't work too well in this, and she hasn't gotten a really good break yet.
No.
You don't have to get a miss every time you miss it.
Well, neither is this lady. If she strikes on lane 40, you know, just give it a good finish. She can still shoot a 192, which will put a little pressure on Dorin Ballard, but Carolyn's looking sharp.
And Amanda can get 202. It's just that they're another. Look at the tap she's had. 10 pin, 10 pin, the ghost pin, the solid 9. I mean, you throw those all in the strikes, and you're right in the game.
It's easier to get to the pocket going straight from outside, and it carries better. Other than that, it's not so much.
I like this lady's game. I mean, she's got some game, that Adrienne Miller. This will not be the last you see of this young lady, or this one. They'll call Bill Straub, and Bill will tweak it over the phone, maybe take him in for a lesson, and they'll be back. Carolyn just trying to keep her focus. It looks like Ballard against Guerrero.
Wow. That'll do it. She needed one mark in the last 2 frames. And that's the best kind of mark she can have.
The old blueprint strike. I mean, let's see. The ball hits the 1-3, goes into the 5 and 9. The other 6 pins are knocked down by other pins connecting into them. The 1 knocks down the 2, 4, and into the 7. The 5 takes out the 8. The 3 goes back into the 6. 6 takes out the 10. And the ball, the 9. Is that simple?
You lost me, Bo.
It was a strike. Possible 247 for 20-time champion.
Shot.
She's not afraid to play deep or play outside.
We'll step aside for a moment here with 2 winners, 2 great players bowling big games, Guerrero and Carolyn Dorin Ballard. We'll be back with the final scores and the final match. It should be a great one.
Here are the final scores from the round of 16. It was Clara Guerrero with a 256 over Amanda Burgoyne, 171. And of course, our veteran Carolyn Dorin Ballard with 236 over newcomer Adrienne Miller, 192. And I'm with Clara and Carolyn. Clara, congratulations. With all your international success, what would it mean to you to have the chance now to win the U.S. Open?
I mean, I don't think I have any words to express what I will feel at that moment. It will be amazing. I will be more than proud of myself and my training during the years, and definitely will be a big goal that I will accomplish in my career.
Well, congratulations. You bowled wonderful. And Carolyn, what could I possibly ask Carolyn that I haven't asked over the last 7, 8 years? I know if you're here and I'm here, somebody's got to be watching the children. I hope we can trust them with their dads.
I just checked on them. They're alive.
Okay, good. You're the oldest one in the field.
Thank you.
I thought I'd bring that up. And you bowled the youngest competitor, Adrienne Miller, who we knew as a youngster. So do you think it's the handing over of the torches in some way in the sport of women's bowling?
I think it is. You know, with the Queens this year, the field of 32 was stellar. Junior Gold I attended, the field was stellar. And this is a fantastic top 16. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better at the Queens and the U.S. Open this year. But I'm sorry. I'm still going to hang in there for the veterans out there. I still think I got a little go get them in me, so I'm going to try my hardest.
Well, great bowling, congratulations. And I know if you're bowling well, I get free dinner. Don't go away, because coming up we have President Jeff Bourget of USBC. Stay with us. President of USBC, Jeff Bourget. Jeff, thank you for joining us today. And thank you on behalf of all women, the resurgence of women's bowling and the strength of USBC behind us. Tell us about that.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Kathy, and the USBC is dedicated to growing the sport of bowling. We've been talking about that for the last couple of years, and events like today are the showcase of what we're talking about with growing the sport.
Well, as you can see just by the women that we have bowling in this event, the youth the strength and the youth and the talent is unbelievable, and that's our future. You're absolutely right. Now, we are making a move from Wisconsin to Arlington. Tell us about that, and what will that do for women's bowling and bowling in general?
Well, it's a good thing for the bowling industry. The bowling industry coming together, and it's not just the bowling proprietors and the United States Bowling Congress, but it's also the Hall of Fame and a lot of other integers within the bowling industry coagulating into one location shows the strength of the message of unity out there that is growing behind this grow the sport of bowling.
Well, we've only heard great things and positive things about the moves so far, but what type of vision do you see in the future for not just women's bowling, but all bowling, and the encouragement from USBC?
I see young people out there across America watching shows like this one and the ones that we're going to be part of in the future, and looking up out there to their parents and to their siblings and saying, you know something, I can do that. I can be just like that. I want to do that. I want to go bowling because I'm going to be a star.
And that's what we want to hear. We want to see stars. Thank you on behalf of everybody. Jeff Bourget, thanks for joining us.
Let's take a look at Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard through our slow motion video. You can see she starts the ball out around the 5 board, goes all the way out to number 1, tracks back in the pocket beautifully. And then our Cats data, you can see in the second frame, she threw the ball a little faster than the 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th on the left-hand lane. She had to slow down to give the ball an opportunity to hook back into the pocket. She made the proper adjustment, and it made for an easy win. And for Guerrero, it was just a matter of controlled speed throughout the entire game. Never varied by more than 0.3 of a mile per hour. Quality bowling from both of our ladies. And the keys to success from Clara Guerrero was maintaining that consistent speed. For Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard, it was being able to tweak the speed just a little bit.
The keys to success are sponsored by USBC Coaching. Locate a certified coach in your area by logging on to the Find a Coach feature on bowl.com. And here's how the final round of the quarterfinals has gone so far. Guerrero with a 256, Ballard with a 236, both victorious. Marshall, this sets up to probably be the premier quarterfinal match. One of these players will advance to the semifinals next week. You can't win the U.S. Open if you don't win this match. Here we go. Guerrero on the left-hand lane.
Well, they both seem to be playing the lanes the way that this pattern really mandates. But for Guerrero, she didn't bowl on lane 39s and 40 last game, so we'll see how quickly she can adjust to this new pair. Left lane has a tendency to hang just a little bit more.
Boy, just nothing but just solid, perfect strikes. I mean, not too much power, just the right tweak, all 10 pins in the pit, no assist.
And looks like Guerrero was throwing a different ball than she threw in the game on lane 41 and 2.
Now Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard, the dominant player in women's bowling for the last few years, probably the last decade, has never won the U.S. Open in her fabled career.
Little help? Nope. The 7-pin stands. Dorin Ballard, a control player. Watch, she's right up the back of the ball. Ball's got to make a turn. It's coming, but not quite enough energy to kick out that 7-pin.
That's a hard shot to throw, too, Marshall. You know, I watched her bowl the inside lines when it would count that, and she turned it up and spun it a lot more, and now she's playing the outside line and just rolling it straight off her hand. Great versatility, great talent.
With her spare ball, hard and straight.
Root bag.
Carolyn, one of the first ladies to join the PBA. The PBA allowed the women to join. She obviously has competed a lot. Her husband, Del Ballard, who is our scorer today, has won the U.S. Open twice. So this is really a bowling cartel, the Ballards. Up on the left-hand lane, second frame.
Bang, perfect.
A little more spin on that one, Marshall. She got just the thumb down, fingers up, and just a little tilt. That's about as good as you can throw it, and that looks like Guerrero's natural shot. Kathy Dorin is over on the side, Lizzie, with a report. What's up, Kath?
Well, when Clara started her first match, she was using a noise that had a lot of surface. She bowled a great game. She's got a solid game, great balance. Switching pairs, though, which was smart on Carolyn's part, she switched to a rival. It's actually a weaker ball with a higher pin, but Clara has a little bit different roll and a little bit different speed, so whatever's best for her, that's why everybody bowls different.
Thank you, Kathy. And Marshall, as you picked out, the left-hand lane hangs a little bit, so she hit the left-hand lane. So basically what's going to happen if she plays in the same, she's going to drift a little high on the right.
Yeah, but the way that Carolyn has battled this pair is she slowed the ball speed down just a little bit on the left-hand lane. The right-hand lane, she keeps it about a mile per hour faster. For Clara, she really got a fairly good break there, just leaving the 4-pin, because that ball drifted pretty darn high.
Cross lane should be routine.
Hang on, ball. Well, she made it, but she didn't make it look so routine. She double bounced that ball when it left her hand.
Well, you know, that can sometimes happen because the ball doesn't feel exactly like her strike ball, and that she has made a move from one strike ball to the other. But proper technique, proper angles.
You can see that she knows she got away with murder there, and that's why you use a spare ball. You give yourself the optimum amount of room to miss both left and right. If she'd thrown her strike ball like that, it'd have been gone.
Granted.
Two-time Colombian national champion, great international bowler. Looking to keep the match even with a strike in the third.
Marcia, you got this pair pegged, and obviously we've been here for 4 weeks watching them, and the benefit of some of these ladies do not have that. And under the pressure here, Ballard figured it out. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to adjust to make a ball hook a little bit more. You can turn it more, you can move farther outside line, you can use a more aggressive ball, or you can reduce speed. Carolyn has figured it out perfectly. Whether she can execute for the rest of the game, that's what to be seen. But she's the only one that we've really seen get the real read on this pair. Guerrero's close.
Better conversion.
Two of the big boys in the BPAA, Jim Stern, the president of the BPAA, and John Burgoyne, the executive director of the BPAA, here in attendance. Had lunch with those guys. Pretty good guys, really into their bowling, and the BPAA, which is the Proprietors Association, does a great job.
Take a look at the last match stats. 7 for 11, 63.6% strike percentage. Dorin Ballard going for a double. Yeah, just didn't get the 6 to come off the sideboard and kick out the 10. Looked like she might have thrown that ball just a little bit faster. No doubt the spare conversion. You know, both ladies kind of starting off bowling a careful match. You know, that they know that they don't want to give their opposition a big edge, so they're just sort of feeling each other out a little bit, making sure they keep the ball in the pocket.
Carolyn was a semifinalist in the U.S. Women's Open in Reno last year. The eventual champion, Liz Johnson, was eliminated, finished in 23rd place. Only the top 16 advanced.
That's a good shot.
Well, she's really wired in on lane 39 right now.
And right now, Clara trails Dorin Ballard by 1 pin, spare working 4th frame.
She can take the lead with a couple of strikes here.
Wow. So good.
What's that, Bo?
That is La Fantasma, and I did a recording with her talking about that.
Uy, no, cuando dejas el palo 8 el palo 9, en un buen lanzamiento le decimos el fantasma.
Muchas gracias.
No, muchas gracias a usted.
The ghost pin, the solid 8, the solid 9. She's the one that came up with the saying, and she left it in a critical situation that she'll be trailing by 2 pins. She has been almost perfect, as has Ballard. Just a matter of who carries. 4th frame.
Not taking anything for granted, taking her time on that spare, because she knows that the last time on that lane, she almost made a big mistake. Just down by 2 pins, coming up on lane 39.
Well, and also being the ghost pin, Marshall, it could move maybe. Have you thought of that?
Bo, I'm telling you, if you say it, it must be so.
Great answer. All right, partner. We're through 4 frames in the match that Marshall pegged right on. Could be the toughest and most competitive of our quarterfinals. Only one of these ladies can make it to the semifinals. 5th frame.
Come on. There she got the friendly carry. 2 pin. Right now, Dorin Ballard can make it a 13-pin lead. We'll take a look at Clara Guerrero. Watch this 5-pin go to the sideboard and do all the damage.
Good stuff there. Look at how solid at the line.
And the reaction? That's right. Yeah.
Okay, Kathy. Carolyn can take a lead of 12 pins if she can double right here. 5th frame.
Come on, lay off. Hit it.
Will it? Will it?
Yeah.
Break, knocks the 4 into the 9. You know, the better you get, the luckier you get.
That is very true.
We'll take a look at Dorin Ballard as this ball does come in high. Watch it. Bang.
Come on, lay off. Hit it. Yeah.
Sometimes she can will them down.
Well, the 9 pin has really been the pivotal pin. It's unusual that that would be the pin, as Guerrero left that in the 4th frame where she'd have a double and the match would be much closer. Now, Carolyn up can make her lead 22 pins.
That ball's been set up in that lane. Drives the 5 into the 7.
With a very tight match, we have Carolyn Dorin Ballard, Clara Guerrero, and here are some of our former U.S. Women's Open champions. And during the break, Carolyn Dorin Ballard goes over and talks to her young daughter, Alyssa, who is just a delight to be around, and then goes back and talks to one of her real good friends, Linda Barnes, son Ryan right there. Meanwhile, Clara Guerrero was just dead focused, Marshall. She sat there studying her shot and never moved. And so let's see which demeanor works as this match comes to a head. It's been very competitive. Neither player has missed the pocket. Guerrero, strike working 5th. If she strikes here, she'll cut the lead of Ballard's down to just 12 pins.
Just a key time in the match, a huge opportunity for her to step up and cut that lead down, and she came in big.
Well, you picked it. We said this could be the premier match. It has been so far. Nobody's giving. Both players look really sharp.
We'll take a look at Guerrero's cat stats from the last match to this match. Take a look at that left lane, 17-1, 17-0, 16-9. Very, very consistent. She's slowed down a little bit. That left lane is a little tighter.
And it is the key lane, no doubt. She can cut the lead of Ballard's to 2 pins with a 3rd consecutive strike.
That ball was left off her hand, but it's holding. In fact, it laid off. That's the lane that doesn't quite tip as much as the right lane. She got left with her ball, and I'll bet you that ball was going faster as well.
Look at how solid she was at the line. She had to be happy with the performance of the shot, and probably tried to help it up a little left, Marshall. You know,
and it was half a mile per hour faster, and that's really what got her there. Because you can get away with pulling a little bit on that lane, but you can't get away with throwing it harder.
Every player has had every ball in the pocket so far. It's just a matter of who carries all the pins.
Good conversion. Dorin Ballard was out of her chair immediately. She is ready to put this match away. least that's what her intent.
Leads by 13. Could make it 23, 7th frame. We're coming down to the last third of the match. This is where tournaments are won or lost. Both players have been razor sharp up to this point.
And we talk about her being the class of the field. This is where she can step up and show us. Flat 10, you can see Dell is doing the score, and he's a nervous spectator right now, as well he should be.
Dell, two-time U.S. Open champion, got a big bite of the apple when U.S. Open was paying $100,000 first place. So we know where to get a loan, Marshall. So that's good.
We're going
to know.
Going to the Bank of Dell.
I like that. Cross lane for the 10-pin. Match is still up for grabs.
Hang on, ball. No problem. 12-pin lead for Dorin Ballard. Boy, she really wanted that last one. It got right and just didn't tip up fast enough. Got in the pocket, but didn't have the energy. But like you said, Bo, both players, quality shots every time.
Carolyn is eligible for the 7 PBA Women's Series events, which will have with the PBA this year, as she won one last year. There it is, first woman PBA champion. She bowled among the men. Bang.
All right, she got away with a little bit there. That was left off her hand.
Ball. Big B.
How this PBA series works as we watch your thing is we're going to have girls qualify, 16 girls to bowl a separate tournament along with the men's. If you follow the men's PBA tour, which commences in October, the ladies will bowl 7 tournaments, and they'll have a tournament within a tournament. They don't bowl against the men, they bowl with them, have their separate prize fund, but they have their championship match on ESPN. Now, Clara, Guerrero.
That last shot by Dorin Ballard was one board inside where she'd been hitting the entire game. She really did get away with it. Whoa, that looked like that could have been another solid 9. That ball was very high flush in the pocket.
You see the adrenaline starting to flow. She threw it a little harder, pulled it a little bit.
Well, watch the way this ball cuts through the pins, Bo. It's too high right there. The ball never does touch the 9-pin, but something did.
5 took it out probably. Marshall, a good eye there, Val. Now, as this match comes down to the 9th and 10th frames, that's what will determine our final semifinalist for next week's Women's Championship.
And I really think that Guerrero needs to strike here to have a really good opportunity to win. Almost a must. They gave it her best shot, got the 10-pin to fall down just barely as the ringing 10 became the tilting over 10.
Once they fall 9 degrees off their center axis, they are supposed to fall according to USBC regulations.
Well, watch the 6-pin. It'll just barely touch it. And
well past 9 degrees, no doubt.
That was gone.
Okay, situation for Dorin Ballard. She leads by 2, a potential 249. She could slam the door on Guerrero. As you see, the maximum scores for both players. If Carolyn does not strike on this ball, Guerrero determines the match.
That one good.
She left the 10-pin last time on that lane. Not this time. That ball dead flush into the pocket.
I wonder, in all of her international bowling, had Clara ever bowled against somebody who just keeps beating on you, like the great Carolyn Dorin Ballard. Right now, she needs strike 9 spare, which would give her 238 and slam the door. If she does not strike on this ball, Guerrero will have an opportunity to win it in the 10th and a very good possibility, Marshall, of a tie.
I was just thinking that, Bo.
Here we go. Somebody's going to the semifinals.
You're good. Come on.
Great shot. You know, we're right here with Del Ballard, and that ball leaves her hand, and Del goes, carry. I guess our statistician's allowed to root.
Well, by far,
as good a shot as
2 shots.
Yeah, it's good as she's thrown it the whole game.
The scoring situation is this. If Ballard strikes, she wins, she'll be in the semifinals next week and a chance to win her first U.S. Open title. If she does not strike, she needs 9 to spare. If she'd happen to get 9 and miss it, we have a possibility of a tie.
Has she got less than 9 the entire game?
No, sir.
I like her chances. Whoa, that ball was close to the edge, but she got away with it. That's the winner. A great finish by Dorin Ballard. She shuts out Guerrero, and she's going to be in our final.
Well, we're back with our final score. It was Dorin Ballard with 249 over Clara Guerrero, 215. And I'm with Carolyn right now. She advances, as always. With all of the wonderful accomplishments you've had in your illustrious career, the U.S. Open is one that you do not have on your resume. I have to repeat that. She does not have that on her resume. What does this mean to you to make it again to the finals?
Well, my husband's been reminding that, saying that to me for years. You know, your career's not complete unless you've won a U.S. Open. Well, everybody wants the U.S. Open on their resume. It would be just the icing on the cake, but I take each tournament as just want to bowl well and put myself in contention, and I'm going to try my best.
Well, you bowled great, as always. Alyssa, is Mommy going to win?
Yes.
And who's the best bowler in the family, Mommy or Daddy?
Daddy.
Oh, no. You heard it right here. Back to you, Boa Marshall.
We finished our 4 weeks of quarterfinal matches, and here's how they line up. Carolyn Dorin Ballard, Kim Terrell-Kearney, and in the second match, Trisha Reed and Shalyn Zulkifli. They'll be in the semifinals to determine our champion. Marshall, and you have the shot of the show.
I'll tell you what, on the shot of the show, it's an easy one for me. It was the second shot, the 10th frame. She needs 9 pins, Bo, just 9. She almost throws it in the channel, but no. It comes back, knocks them all down. She's going to the semifinals. We take a look at it in slow motion. That is the shot of the day, and in recognition of Carolyn Dorin Ballard's shot, $1,000 will be donated to the USBC Youth Scholarship Fund.
Our 4 semifinalists in the 2008 Women's U.S. Open has been determined, as Carolyn Dorin Ballard has defeated Clara Guerrero with a score of 249 to 215. Be sure to join us next Sunday to see who will be the new U.S. Women's Open champion. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.